No?
Yeah, you have to, if someone is 70, 80 years old or 75, don't you think it's a little too late for them to change their understanding?
I'm 78 and he's 74.
Yeah, isn't it a little too late if you want to?
Well, why can I be flexible and he can't? So I'm only 4 years older than him. I should be worse, not better, right?
No, I'm saying that by the time you reach that age, I mean, it seems next to impossible to change your understanding, no?
Who's mine?
Anyone. They've been conditioned for that long.
Of course you can change your understanding. All a person has to do is approach with a higher truth.
Well, haven't you been trying that with different people? Approaching that?
Yeah.
Has it worked?
Until I ran into Bobby Hebert and a few other people like Paranjan and Yasoda that are after my throat to begin with, I had tremendous success like that. People never disagreed with me at all. Why? Because I never said anything that person could disagree with.
So then why are these people disagreeing with you then?
Because they have very set views and they want to go by their own set views.
Yeah, so can you change that? Maybe
No, Bobby, I can't change that. They can change that if they want.
Right.
But all I was saying is, if he's going to be smearing me, saying, "Oh, people don't like what you're saying," good. Let them come forward and say what they don't like, and I will respond. And if I'm wrong, I will admit it. And if I'm not wrong, they should admit it.
Okay. You should ask Bobby Hebert if he will ask the people that criticized you if they're willing to have their identities revealed.
I've done that repeatedly. And then he sent me lists of people, of various lengths of lists of people that are, you've seen it. If you read the exchange for president, you saw that he sent some lists of people. But if they disagree, let them disagree. Why throw rocks from behind a brick wall?
Just like you have strong opinion.
It doesn't really matter that much.
No, I said just like you have strong opinions against Yashoda and other Puranjana, they also have the same thing against or feelings for you. So
I have a strong opinion?
I'm not. I mean, I certainly have no problem with you, Yashoda, Bobby Hebert, but you guys have some, I don't know, whatever it is amongst yourselves.
No. I don't really, I've not dealt with Yashoda in years, Paranjan in years, except to expose him as having rejected Prabhupada in 1975.
Yeah, that's whatever that is.
That's factual.
Okay.
It's recorded. It's not an opinion.
Yes. Okay. So they have factual information about you as well.
Oh yeah. And why don't they bring it forward? I'm ready to deal with it. What do they?
What will that accomplish?
See, you guys are all like, your minds are all made up, and I don't see any leeway being given on any side. So
my mind is not made up at all.
Well,
the only thing that my mind is considering is how to understand Srila Prabhupada's point of view as the Acharya. I don't have, if that's a point of view, then that's my point of view. But I don't have a point of view that I want other people to believe. I don't. And if I come across that way, then I should be corrected at the time.
Well, you do come across that way.
Well, then let people challenge what I'm saying.
You're extremely opinionated, Narayan.
Am I opinionated, or am I observed, or am I speaking from realization?
Well, that you can say that is your own realization. Opinionated.
Yeah.
Your personal.
Ramachandra.
Yes.
You and I have been doing this for 2 years.
Yes.
Or more.
Yes.
How many things I've said you take complete exception to, that you don't think is true, but you're too polite to mention it?
Well, you make very, very important philosophical points about the direction of management. What else is there? The history of many of the devotees. That is all accurate, which is verified.
I'm not here to praise or attack a single devotee.
No. I'm saying your version of historical insight is the same as theirs, meaning but there's difference of understanding, you can say. For example, you say that Prabhupada, well, you don't say that. Prabhupada uses the word officiating acharya, right? And you say Tamal Krishna invented that word.
He didn't invent the word. He
and got it from Narayan Maharaj. So
he took it from Narayan Maharaj's book.
Yeah, that's your, you can say that is, can you prove that somehow?
Well, put it this way. What likelihood did Tamal Krishna have of going into the Sanskrit of any of the verses of Prabhupada's book in which Ritvik, Ritvaja, and all of that is mentioned, and how
that's a good point.
He would come out with that on his own?
Yeah.
He wasn't that much of a scholar. He was a politician.
I definitely agree with you on that point. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he and Narayan Maharaj were working at poisoning. He was in the last stages of, in July 9th, they were in the last stages of poisoning Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Tamal wanted to poison Prabhupada so that he could become Acharya, and Narayan Maharaj was helping him because he thought that that Tamal would make him the Acharya. That's the scheme that they had between them, and it's pretty well substantiated by the way they've related to each other. And so when that happened, I'm sure that Narayan Maharaj suggested that he used the term Ritvik, and Tamal pushed it on May 28th and pushed it on July 9th.
So you're saying this, and this is your analysis of how.
Yeah, that's my historical analysis.
Yes.
Now the thing is, if somebody can prove otherwise, let them do it.
Yeah.
I would like to change my mind. Who's going to tell me why? If they say, people come up with the stupidest stuff, saying, well, Ritvik is all over in Prabhupada's books, and here's a big column of things where Ritvik occurs. I went through that big column of quotes, and Ritvik doesn't occur there once in the verse or the purport. It only occurs in the Sanskrit. Of course it's in the Sanskrit. It's in the Sanskrit of practically every verse of every piece of writing that Prabhupada wrote. Ritvik is there, but Prabhupada never once used it in his verse or his purport. So why am I supposed to accept, oh, it's the same thing? The only reason they say it's the same thing is because somebody said it was the same thing. They don't do their own research.
What do you think, Rupa?
Well, Pita Das,
what?
Pita Das, he's passed on. He was a Prabhupada disciple who said that Prabhupada spoke about the Ritvik representative of the Acharya. And
when? What date?
He didn't give a date. And Gauridas Pandit said that Prabhupada talked about Ritviks.
What date? He did. After June 10th, after it was established in the July 9th letter, Prabhupada said to people like Hansadu to continue to be Ritvik. You should be Ritvik. He used it all over the place because Tamal had forced it. But do you understand that it's not a small point? Okay, Ramachandran, why do I care one way or the other, whether it's Ritvik or officiating Acharya? Do you know?
Please tell us. Why do you care?
Well, why don't you tell me why you think if you feel there's an important distinction?
Yeah, I do feel there's an important distinction because of your explanation. Yes, Prabhupada used the word officiating Acharya, and Tamal Krishna said, "Is that Ritvik?" Yes, that's it. On that,
Yeah, but that's the, okay, so where,
I see. I was not there at that time. Your explanation makes sense to me. Now,
okay, well, I hope so. If it doesn't, then correct me. Now, the thing
I
is,
I have no
Go
other
ahead.
understanding than what you have said. So, what can I say? It's blank. I have no other understanding than what you have said, and what Prabhupada has said, and Tamal has
the
written.
only reason I think that it counts and why it should count to those who call themselves Ritvik, which I did for decades. I called myself a Ritvik for decades.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not that I hate the word Ritvik. I hate the fact that I was fooled by Tamal. So what would have happened if we had accepted the term officiating Acharya on July 9th? What would have happened that would have been different than Ritvik?
Well, the word Ritvik would have been kicked out the door. The word officiating Acharya is
Yeah, but what would be the difference in meaning, significance, and realization for the devotees?
officiating on behalf of who?
Huh?
Officiating on
I'm sorry?
behalf of who?
On behalf of Prabhupada.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know what Ritvik is supposed to mean, but it's officiating on the behalf of Prabhupada, yes. But do you know what that would have done if we'd accepted that? And I think I've tried to explain it, and I'm sick and tired of even the topic whatsoever. And that is, officiating Acharya would bring into the fact that more than 4,000 of Prabhupada's disciples were initiated not directly by Prabhupada as the officiating guru with the sacred fire and the everything, that whole thing. Instead of that, other people did it. Temple presidents did it. And that would mean that it was an old system, not a new one. But Tamal didn't want an old system. He wanted a new one. If it was an old system, do you think all the people calling themselves Ritviks today, I mean, it's like they walk around with a sign on their back saying, "Kick me." There's an old joke from grammar school, "Kick me." So everybody goes up and kicks the guy with a sign on his back. He doesn't know why they're kicking. They're being kicked and kicked and kicked for using the word Ritvik. Whereas if they'd use officiating Acharya, they say, well, this is what Prabhupada did since 1970. And so many thousands of devotees were already initiated. Not that we start at July 9th with a fresh slate, initiating as Ritviks. That created a nightmare, didn't it? That doesn't make sense. That's my only point. That instead of tapping into what was already there, what Prabhupada had already done,
Why
has a new category. What?
Why has this become such a big issue? Is it because of a political reason, or they have made it a big issue?
Well, for me, it's a historical reason. The historical side is those who call themselves Ritviks, like Ranjan and Yasoda and people like that.
If Yasoda used the word officiating Acharya, he has used it many times with me, so I'm not sure.
Recently, after I said it, I think.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Yeah, because I brought it up, and I hear Bobby Hebert said he uses it now, but it's not because he thought of it, but he can see the reasoning. Why go and make yourself into a kick-me victim of the aggression of the Guruvadi guys when you could say officiating Acharya was going on, 4,000 disciples initiated like that? Why all we're doing is continuing what Prabhupada had started to begin with. Instead of a new thing, Ritvik, oh no, Ritvik is no good. Oh, Ritvik is all there is, Don't you think it's rather a ridiculous and fruitless argument? Ritvik, this way, that way. If you take away Ritvik and say officiating Acharya, See, Prabhupada did that. Thousands of devotees were initiated by officiating acharyas. So where's the complaint now to continue that? Well, then you can say, well, Prabhupada didn't intend for officiating acharyas to continue to initiate after his Mahasamadhi. But then you can counter that by saying, and he did say it both on May 28th and on July 9th, he said, I will recommend some of you as officiating acharyas, which meant that they would be initiating after his Mahasamadhi for him. You know? And now we have Ritviks that want the people they initiate to consider them the guru. You know, it's just ridiculous. You see the distinction, Ramachandra? I mean, just because I studied logic in college doesn't mean nobody can understand logic, does it? I mean, do you see the logic to taking a time-honored system called officiating acharya, taking it up to July 9th, saying we will have we will have officiating acharyas just as we have been doing for the last 7 years. Isn't that a lot different than the vibe that keeps us Ritvik, or now I'm a Ritvik, you're a Ritvik, burn the Ritviks, crucify the Ritviks, burn the Ritviks at the stake? I mean, why? Why go in for being a masochist when you don't have to be? But Tamal had a scheme. He didn't want that tradition to be known. Most devotees were not aware that majority of Prabhupada's disciples were not initiated by Prabhupada personally. And because of that, Tamal didn't want anyone to find out, because it would have weakened what he was trying to do by becoming the acharya and the successor guru or whatever. There would have been that huge issue. What about officiating acharyas? Why don't we do that? No. We are Uttamadarkari. We're Diksha gurus now. We don't have to listen to officiating acharya. No, but Prabhupada did that, and he said he's going to recommend officiating acharyas. And now you say no? How can you say no to Prabhupada? So he didn't say no to Prabhupada. He forced to turn Ritvik in so that he wouldn't have to deal with Prabhupada. You don't think that makes sense? I'm ready to drop the whole issue. It doesn't seem that anyone sees it the way I do. You know? What do you think?
Rupa, what do you think?
I can go either way on it. I mean, what you're saying makes sense, but it's also, there's a lot of evidence.
Other way?
There's a lot of evidence to the contrary. Like, why don't you ask?
Where is it? You say, where is there evidence to the contrary? Is there any?
I think you should ask Gauridas Pandit when Prabhupada was talking about Ritviks.
Prabhupada never mentioned Ritvik before July 10th. We've done some pretty good research on that. And if he had used the word Ritvik, in what context did he use it? Ritvik, look, if you pick up the Bhagavad Gita, read the Sanskrit, the word Ritvik is constantly there. Ritvik, Ritvik, a whole bunch of versions of Ritvik. It's there. Not just Ritvik, but actually Ritvik is less and more Ritvija and a whole bunch of other declinations of Ritvik. It's all there in the Sanskrit. Of all of Prabhupada's books, you can't really read a book because Ritvik really means the self-realized sage. You see,
Okay, well, I don't think we need to beat the dead horse.
what part of the horse is dead?
Any part of the horse.
Thing, the whole thing.
Any part of it. The tail, the hairs.
So you don't think that history will benefit by understanding that Prabhupada did create an initiating ceremony situation that had been going on for 7 years, rather than Ritvik. I mean, if everybody gave up Ritvik and went for officiating Acharya right now, the toxicity of the word Ritvik would be gone. Completely gone. The people said, what do you mean by officiating Acharya? You mean Ritvik? Say no. Prabhupada used the term officiating Acharya. He was doing that since 1970, 4,000 disciples or more. I mean, what's the bad part? I mean, we're not here to argue language for ourselves. We're here to establish a historic precedent and to expose the fact that Tamal was a clever son of a bitch and knew what he tried to do, something which he failed to do. What he ended up doing was completely against what he was trying to do. But he thought if he could say Ritvik, that he'd be able to declare himself as Acharya. Of course, that's going on, isn't it? People feel they have grounds for declaring themselves to be successor Acharyas to Prabhupada or successor gurus. And if we want to counteract that, we have to have a basis, a strength, position of strength. So Rupa thinks it's already too much talked about. So I would say it's too much talked about when we actually win. No, I mean, for God's sake, I'm not trying to make a fool of myself constantly talking about officiating Acharyas in Ritvik. It's actually nauseating because I should just do it once and people would say, yeah, you're right. My God, why didn't we see that? Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, we should do that now. But they don't. There's, oh, Ritvik is the same. Well, then you're saying that Prabhupada and Tamal Krishna are the same. Prabhupada said one thing, Tamal said another, and you say, let's use Tamal's version, not Prabhupada's. I mean, doesn't that go against the grain? What do you think? I mean, are we happy to go with Tamal's version and unhappy to go with Prabhupada's version? Which is where we are right now.
I mean, to me, officiating Acharya and Ritvik, it's a secondary issue for me because I've understood the message is more important than a lot of people.
Well, yeah, you know, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Now
I mean,
it is. Now it is.
The same
But
thing,
if we
like,
want to
why
trace
do we
the
need to
history,
repeat this every time?
so what are you going to do with? Oh, what is that? Who's
Vinayak
that?
Prabhu, please repeat.
Vinayak.
Oh no, I was just saying that for me also it's the same thing, just what Ronald Prabhu said.
The same thing. Prabhupada and Tamal are the same.
No.
Whatever Prabhupada says and what Prabhupada says and what Tamal says, equal. They're equal.
No, we were saying that this issue of initiations is more of a political issue, and it's distracting from the original message that Prabhupada is the Acharya, and so much time is over the years. People have built movements around this word.
But Prabhu, I don't get it. If Prabhupada is initiating Acharya, how does he initiate?
The officiating Acharya system,
Yeah.
or
you're saying it's a dead issue. It's not even come out of a grave yet. How is it dead?
Because it has created so much. How can you say?
Divisiveness.
Yeah, decisiveness, and then a lot of people have built movements around this word, and they're using it
around the word officiating Acharya.
Ritvik or officiating Acharya. Both?
I haven't seen a movement built around officiating Acharya.
Yeah, I mean on Ritvik. Sorry, on the Ritvik
Okay,
so-called word.
so as long as Ritvik is there, it's going to be the enemy
Let it be there.
of
What's the
everybody.
why you want to destroy the word Ritvik? You won't be able to because it's used in the translation and purport. I mean,
Not in
no,
the translation,
it's used in the
not in the purport.
Sanskrit. Sanskrit, yes,
No.
the
No,
synonyms.
we should just eliminate the word Ritvik in terms of how Prabhupada is initiated. Officiating Acharya is his term. Ritvik is Tamal's term. I choose Prabhupada.
Well, they'll say
Whoever else
that
chooses Tamal.
they'll say, "Oh, well, we choose what Prabhupada is using in the Sanskrit." So, what are you going to say?
Prabhupada never used in the verse, in the purport.
Yeah,
Never.
but they can argue. So
we
what?
don't read we don't read the Sanskrit. We read the verses and the purports when we get class.
The Sanskrit, and then Prabhupada gives a Roman translation word for. I think it's saying. I think it's used differently in different contexts, but it says to someone who's doing something on behalf of someone else. I think, like Ritvik or Ritvik, whatever. Yeah.
Ritvik is very seldom used. The word Ritvik is practically never used. The word Ritvaja is used a lot.
Yeah. So
it's a declination of the word Ritvik. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's crystal clear that if we want to have a set up an initiating system for Prabhupada, it should be done under officiating Acharya, not under the word Ritvik, which has already become a dirty word in ISKCON. Why do we say officiating Acharya instead of Ritvik? Get rid of the word Ritvik, and then we don't have this conversation anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll stick with Prabhupada's choice of words, not Tamal's choice of words.
Mm.
You know, Prabhupada was not poisoning Tamal when that conversation took place. Tamal was poisoning Prabhupada in the last stages of poisoning him when that conversation took place. But I don't see how they can be considered equals. Anyhow, do we reach any conclusion, or do we just agree to disagree, or what are we doing? I hate having to talk about it. It disgusts me, mainly because it's so reasonable and so easy to understand. Why would anyone disagree with it? And then people come up with, well, Ritvik is used all over by Prabhupada. Show me an example. Oh, they can't. Because Prabhupada never used the word Ritvik outside of the translation, the Sanskrit. Right? Do you think Tamal went into the Sanskrit to find the word Ritvik? Does that sound like Tamal?
He's a very sneaky fellow. You know?
Yeah. But wouldn't it be sneakier for him to read that horrible biography written by Narayan Maharaj about Prabhupada, which is basically even the title is a blasphemy against Prabhupada.
16.
My Shiksha Guru, my Priyabandhu, my Shiksha Guru, Priyabandhu. My Guru, my best friend, Priyabandhu. I mean, that is Arjuna Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, now is the time for friendly talks to cease. And why? Because he's become the guru, not the friend. It's right there. It's sort of obvious, pretty hard to miss in the Gita. But no, Narayan Maharaj has to say, my guru, my best friend. And then he goes on to describe how he was the Ritvik, and that's the only time I've ever seen Ritvik in print, where Ritvik was a featured word, not simply a translation from the Sanskrit. He said he was the Ritvik that performed the fire sacrifice for, in behalf of Keshava Maharaj, to give sannyas to Srila Prabhupada. I mean, is that an obnoxious view on my part? I hope not. What do you think, Ramachandra?
Huh?
What do you think?
I was reading the comments here, so there's some
Okay.
comments here.
Let's run on some comments.
Okay, let me put this up here 1 second here. Okay. Where's my Zoom? Mohit Prabhu, welcome, and Vinayak, welcome.
Ah, Mohit, Haribol.
We got Vinayak and Mohit.
Jai, Hare Krishna.
Jai. Okay. Kam
Hare
saying,
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Haribol,
Krishna,
Jai.
Haribol.
Jai Prabhupada.
Jai.
He's saying,
Okay.
and Kam Prabhu is saying peace. I'm saying and blessings to you. And here Kam is saying, why is the discussion on those channel always about controversy? Do you ever discuss Krishna Bhakti? I said, ha ha, do you like controversy? Any questions? And he's saying, Ritvik philosophy is influenced by Christianity and Messiah doctrines, has no place in Vedic Dharma. I just asked a question. Can you answer?
I want to ask him a question that has he read all the Vedic literatures? Kam Islamic.
Yeah, let's see if he replies. Which is watching.
Because like these people like use the term Vedic Dharma in a manner that they have read all the Vedas, Puranas, all the Shastras and these things. That this
Okay.
thing is nowhere in Vedic literature, they claim.
Ramachandra Prabhu, why not ask him if he has if for him officiating Acharya is equally as obnoxious to him as the word Ritvik?
So he's saying that that Vedic Dharma is based on parampara. So yeah, we are following parampara from Srila Prabhupada.
Exactly.
What he wants
So
to
what
say.
does he consider parampara? One
Like
guru after another who doesn't know anything? We have to take into account Prabhupada himself says the spiritual master in the fifth verse, right? Ramachandra, can you quote it?
Yeah, the Nectar of Instruction, 5th verse says, one can take initiation from a Kanishta or Madhyam Adhikari. What else? The disciples must be on the same level and they cannot advance further to the ultimate goal of life because of insufficient guidance.
So that's what the guy wants, insufficient guidance.
Yeah,
He
that's
said Srila Prabhupada is not on earth anymore.
is Krishna on earth.
Prabhupada is not on earth.
Prabhupada
Well,
is
he's in
everywhere,
Mahasamadhi,
Prabhu.
which means he is in the earth.
Then he says, are you saying Prabhupada is greater than Mahaprabhu?
we never discussed that thing here.
Srila Prabhupada is representing the desire of Radha and Krishna in the form of Mahaprabhu to give the treasure of the Shakti Vishavatar of the holy name so that anyone just hearing it will eventually go back to Godhead, as opposed to all of those throughout all the other universes who don't hear it and will not go back to Godhead anytime soon.
He said, based on your position, there is no need for guru at all. Krishna can suffice as guru.
Yeah, he can do that. Why not?
If he wants.
Yeah.
But the
But
fact is,
he's there
Why
as the
is-
Paramatma in everyone's heart. So isn't he already doing that?
but yeah, he does. But can't we say that Prabhupada exists in vibration form?
What did
And
you
what
say?
is the vibration Prabhupada generated? Is it not from Krishna Loka? Is it not transcendental sound vibration as opposed to material sound vibration?
Yes, spiritual sound vibration is there in his books, in his kirtans, in his lectures, everything. So,
And in his recordings.
and his recordings, yes. So why is
If you
there
want to hear
any?
Prabhupada Transcendental, if you want to hear Krishna Loka, turn off your material ears and listen to his kirtan or listen to his lecture. But you have to turn off your material expectation first. Otherwise, it's, oh, there's that old dead guru who was there in 1960s.
Yes,
That will not do the trick. That will not do.
Kam Islam is saying your position is the Guru Parampara ends with Prabhupada. This is
No.
like what Muslims say Muhammad is the seal of prophecy. These
Okay.
ideas,
Does he have any concept of who is equal to Prabhupada right now?
probably he, yeah, that's a good question. Yes. Kam Islam, do you have anyone that is equal to Srila Prabhupada who is present in the so-called body which you're looking for? In body
Yeah.
form. He has not answered yet. We're just waiting. And then he says, this is like when Muslims say Muhammad is the seal of prophecy. Well, we can say that for Srila Prabhupada because he's the Acharya for the Kali Yuga. So he has given the process and distributed the holy name. So we can say that. Yeah. What's wrong in saying
And
that?
if you listen to Prabhupada's kirtan on a recording with headphones or earbuds, if you listen to that, is that the sound of a dead person or the sound of a transcendentally alive person whose sound vibration is coming from Krishna Loka through his mouth?
Hmm.
I mean, what are they going to say? Or is this guy arguing? He reasons ill who say Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and living spread the holy life around. He disagrees with that.
Yeah, he's further saying Guru should be respected and revered no matter who it is if he is qualified. So what is the qualification according to Kam Islami? Some voted in person or some elected person by the GBC Society of West Bengal? Is that the qualification and revelation that he wants to give them? Well, that is no qualification to be a guru. The nectar of instruction is very clear on who is the guru, what should be his qualifications. So why is he saying that any voted in
Uttama
person?
Adhikari.
Yeah,
Are you suggesting Uttama Adhikari?
yeah, I'm suggesting the Uttama
So
Adhikari.
what is an Uttama Adhikari? Can you define who is an Uttama Adhikari?
No, we were asking him a question. Guru should be respected and revered no matter who it is, if he is qualified. So what is the qualification? I'm asking him.
Yeah.
Can you ask him that if he
In
knows
other
any
words-
Uttamadhikari in ISKCON gurus?
We're talking about the Acharya
Can you
or
name
the spiritual
anyone?
master.
Kam Islami?
The spiritual master is a resident of Krishna Loka. He said
No,
Uttama
he-
Adhikari means a resident of Krishna Loka in his rasa with Krishna. So who does he know that is on that category? If he is, I'll go to surrender immediately.
Okay, there's some other comments here. Let me read it.
He didn't answer, huh?
Oh, he has no answer for us.
Well, anyhow, that's okay.
He's saying
You don't
Hari
have-
Bhakti
If you don't have an
Vilasa.
answer, you have to admit that's the same as defeat, isn't it?
Yeah, why we have to go to Hari Bhakti Vilas when Prabhupada is very clear in nectar of instruction? What is the qualifications of the
Doesn't
spiritual
Hari
master?
Bhakti Vilas say that Guru must be a pure devotee?
Yeah, that is what it said.
Yeah, he has just now he has claimed that this is not in Vedic Dharma. That is not in Vedic Dharma. So might be he has read all the Vedic literatures. He might be knowing about Hari Bhakti Vilas also. Isn't
So
it
what's the
there in
point?
Hari Bhakti Vilas
Reading
that
all the
Guru must be a
regular-
pure devotee?
Well, if you
Yeah,
read all
we
the
know
Vedic
that.
literatures, that means you are a scholar. It doesn't mean you are an acharya.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very good distinction.
Yeah, like even 500 years ago, all the Brahmins used to read the Vedic literature. So what's the big deal?
Rob B says, just put Prabhupada in the center. It's his movement.
Hare Krishna. Joy.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Is that the same guy that said that Prabhupada is dead? I'm a little confused.
No, this
Who
is
said-
this is somebody else. This is somebody else.
Oh, yeah. So you don't have to put Prabhupada in the center. He is in the center. We have to put ourselves in the center under he who is in the center, meaning Prabhupada.
He's
Prabhupada is in
saying
the
that
center
his
because he's
movement
the
is-
Acharya. If we want to have a look, raise our eyes up through the tunnel of realization and see Krishna face to face, we have to sit under this pure devotee and look up and obey the spiritual master in every single bit of iota. And we look up, we will have a chance to get glimpse after glimpse of something higher than our own kanista adhikari materialized
Here's some more comments.
body conscious mentality.
Some more comments here.
Sure.
He's saying, well, that is your problem. You have declared everything of
You have
Prabhupada.
discarded.
Oh, discarded. Okay. This is your problem. You have discarded everything for Prabhupada's books. This is not but pomp and ignorance. His movement has failed. He has left behind nothing but people bickering over who is guru, who is not. This is because Prabhupada and ISKCON have done away with Varnashram Dharma.
This guy must be from Nityanand
What?
Vamsha.
Varnashram Dharma was done away with long ago. That's where the Hindus came from. They were the offshoot of Varnashram Dharma, split off by the Muslims, by the Mughals.
What, Vinayak Prabhu, you made a comment, Prabhu. What did you say?
Yeah.
This guy must be from what?
Yeah, I'm like, these kind of comments come from guys from Nityanand Vamsha. They think that they are under shelter of some pure devotee from a bona fide line or seminal succession.
Oh,
So
oh.
yeah, and Hari Bhakti Vilas Prabhu, like whoever he is, Hari Bhakti Vilas does not mention that a guru must be from a seminal succession. It says about disciplic succession. And Hari Bhakti Vilas also mentions that a person coming from a Chandal family, but if he is a Vaishnava, he is a pure devotee, then he can be considered as a spiritual master. So this Kam Islami, I don't know. Most probably he is following those Babajis or those Nityanand Vamsha gurus who has poisoned him against Prabhupada and ISKCON.
Rob B says, it didn't fail. Krishna is real.
Well,
Yeah.
how generous to say that Krishna is real. I mean, you already know your body is real, right? And now you're willing to say that Krishna is real too? How interesting.
This is somebody else that said that. He's saying, because the guy that we've been talking about, he said that Prabhupada's movement has failed. And then Rob B says it didn't fail. Krishna is real. So he's defending Prabhupada's ISKCON.
Oh, good. Well, then I withdraw my offensive comment. See, I'm not trying to be right. I'm not trying to prove points. I'm not trying to defeat anybody. I am simply trying to present the truth as it is. And if I make a mistake, it's the duty of whoever hears that mistake to correct me. And it's my duty to be corrected. I'm not trying to prove points. So what do we got?
Okay, let's see here. Kam Islami, what is, well, that is quite an assumption, LOL. I come from a Madhva Vaishnava family, sir. Okay. Was Madhva Acharya a pure devotee or what was he a Shaktavesh avatar or what is his position? Who's the present
Madhavacharya?
who's the present Acharya for their
Sampradaya?
Sampradaya? for the
Aren't we
Madhva
in-
Acharya Sampradaya. He's saying, I come from a Madhva Vaishnava family, sir. So who's the present Acharya for the Madhva Vaishnava family? Is he the next Acharya or someone else? Is he propagating chanting of the holy name of Krishna, or is he just sitting somewhere in his ashram and teaching?
Yeah, and also like between Vyasdev and Madhvacharya, there was a difference of almost 4,000 years.
Okay, let's see what else is there. Let me check Facebook on comments. No, bro, we gotta unmute yourself. I accidentally muted you. Go ahead. Okay, let me see if there's any comments on Facebook. 1 second. All right. Let's see. Okay, there's no comments on Facebook, so
Okay.
all right. Anything else, Prabhus? Vinayak Prabhu, and who's that?
Yeah,
Rupam
there are numerous Madhva Brahmin initiates in ISKCON Bangalore.
Acha. Mhm.
What did he say?
There are numerous Madhva Brahmins that have taken the
Oh,
chanting
yeah,
of the holy name in the Prabhupada's movement.
In Bangalore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Acha, Jai.
So that should indicate that the Madhavas are in our same kinship realm.
Jai. Simply wonderful.
Yeah.
What Prabhupada has done, it's inconceivable to all these other sampradayas, at least, what he has done in the matter of, few years, 11 years, if you, at this, such a advanced age is
Incomprehensible.
incomprehensible, exactly.
Oh, because Prabhupada came across, even though he's gentle, sweet, kind,
Yeah.
merciful Acharya, he actually came to America as a contrarian.
Jai.
That he got that contrarian nuts
Oh,
from
yes.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati,
Yes, yes.
who was in every other respect the opposite of contrarian. He was as rigid and strict a
Yeah.
Vaishnava Brahmin as you can get. But that came from Gorakishore Das Babaji,
Yes.
who was a clear contrarian.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
This
he
is
was a wild contrarian.
this point that you have said. No one has, no one ever uses this word contrarian except, I've heard it from you and some other businessman.
It has been there in
Yeah, well-
Bhakti Vinod Thakur's writings.
Oh,
We
the
have
word
been
contrarian is
discussing.
there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, acha.
Really? I didn't know that.
Wow.
In what
Yeah.
way does he use the word contrarian, the term contrarian?
I don't remember. Maybe I heard it from these Zoom meetings only. Like sometimes you were like somebody was reading.
No, this
Well,
was
we were not reading here about contrarian from Thakur Bhaktivinoda.
no, yeah.
No, previously when we used to read his letters.
No, we haven't used the word contrarian in context with Bhakti Vinod Thakur's writing. Just
Well, the
Narayana.
simple reason is Thakur Bhaktivinoda was a magistrate, and there's no question of a magistrate being a contrarian. He goes by the law.
Yeah.
But he wanted his son, Bhaktisiddhanta, to become a contrarian, and he
Right.
wanted it and sent him to the only real contrarian with 100,000 miles in any direction, and that was Gorkashordas Babaji. Contrarian means you do the opposite of what is expected. See, Gorkashordas Babaji, to avoid being approached for initiation by various people who, what they wanted, they just wanted initiation so that they could make money and whatnot.
This is a very funny comment they've made. He's saying, Prabhupada took people who were eating Big Macs a week ago and turned them and made them Brahmins the next week. That won't work, and it hasn't worked. This is interesting, huh?
Well, how does it hasn't worked?
Yeah.
You see, so Prabhupada didn't seem like a contrarian, but he did everything. He made women Brahmins. He had guys that were eating hamburgers one week become Brahmins the next week. That's not true.
That's
That's ridiculous. First, they had to give up eating the hamburger. Then they joined the temple. Then they have to practice and purify themselves and shave their head and learn the mantras and learn how to chant Prabhupada's melodies in Sankirtan.
No, I mean,
And then they may take first initiation. And 6 months later, if they're paka devotees, they can take second initiation. And if they're
Prabhupada,
not paka, they have to wait another year.
I mean, if some Madhva Brahmin did that, they'd probably fall down the next day, I mean, Prabhupada taking the guys eating Big Macs a week ago and making them Brahmins next week. I mean, if some Madhva guy did it, he'd probably just, commit suicide the next day.
Yeah, but Prabhupada didn't do that.
Yeah, Prabhupada, his position as an acharya and as a contrarian and as a Shaktavesh avatar remained, even though he initiated people who were, eating hamburgers one week, next week were Brahmins, and the other week
No,
they were...
nobody was next week a Brahmin.
Okay,
Let's
6
get
months
that
later.
clear. This guy's
Okay.
example is a little grotesque.
Okay, 6 months. 6 months later. Okay. 6 weeks later.
No, he joined the temple, demonstrate that they can follow everything. When it looks as though they can follow everything, and that could be 6 months or a year, then they're allowed to give first initiation. First initiation wasn't handed out rapidly.
Like
And
Big Mac,
then-
yes.
Yeah, no Big Macs. And so when they when they get first initiation, they could take a first initiation 6 months after moving into the temple, or they could take a year after moving to the temple. It depends on how much they learned, how well they could chant the Mahamantra, how well they could chant on Sankirtan, how obedient they were, and how faithful they were to the four regulator principles. Then they could take first initiation. 6 months later, they could take Brahmin initiation if they were qualified. And yet there were so many devotees that had first initiation, they had to wait 2 or 3 years to get Brahmin initiation. So it's not quite as drastic as that guy thinks.
He said,
Go ahead,
he said,
Rupa.
he said, because you have no parampara, he, meaning Prabhupada, misled Western white people into thinking they can become Brahmins and gurus.
Well, how do we not have a guru parampara? What's missing? Hello? Hello, is everybody there?
We're
Yeah,
here.
like he might be typing something.
Oh, I see.
Anyways, this is an interesting discussion so far. So
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
said,
So,
yeah, they can present these arguments, comments, whatever they have, no problem.
He said, you don't have a parampara because after Prabhupada, the movement collapsed. Now you are all fighting over nonsense.
well, if we're fighting over nonsense, then Prabhupada has not collapsed. He's just being ignored. Why ignore Prabhupada, who has never shown the slightest flaw, in favor of people that are collapsing all over each other? Why? Why not stick with Prabhupada? I mean, look at Lord Buddha. Are people complaining that there's no successor to Lord Buddha, equal to Lord Buddha? No, they worship Lord Buddha as he is. They worship the statue of Lord Buddha, the Murti. So why can't they worship the Murti as we have them in the temples? Why can't we worship the Murti of Srila Prabhupada in the temple and hear his sound vibration on recording? And is somebody going to say that sound vibration is from a dead person? Or are they going to say that sound vibration is transcendental? If it's transcendental, then there's no question of dying. And Thakur Bhaktivinoda did say, and I'll repeat it the second time, he reasons ill who say Vaishnavas die when thou art living still and sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and living spread the holy life around. Right? So why does he say, does he against Bhaktivinoda Thakur also? Why did Thakur Bhaktivinoda write that poem? Hello?
I am in charge of the meeting now. Let me get back to the YouTube and see what.
Why are you in charge of
he
the
might
meeting
not
now?
be knowing about Thakur Bhakti Vinod.
How come you're in charge of the meeting?
Ramachandra had to step out. He asked me to be the host for right now.
Is he stepping back in?
I don't know.
But if he wants to step out, Paul was asking, are you stepping in and when are you stepping in? So we know how the program is going.
There was one more prediction about Thakur Bhakti Vinod that as Kali Yuga progresses, there is only one Sampradaya, the Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya would remain, and every other Vaishnava Sampradaya would merge into it, namely Ramanuja, Nimbarka, or Madhva. Every other Vaishnava Sampradaya would merge into this Brahma Sampradaya.
Okay. And what do we do with that?
No, just about the discussion. Because he has said that parampara has ended, but parampara has not ended. As per the potent of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, we can understand that this will be going to continue, and all these sampradayas are going to merge into this.
Yeah, well, we can understand that historically there are gaps. All we have in the parampara list, when you look at the lists of the parampara, all you have are the prominent figures. In between, there are many, sometimes there are gaps, meaning there is no acharya, and sometimes there's people there, but they're not mentioned because they did not do that much. So, I mean, this idea of there being a gap in the sampradaya is a little bit anal retentive, I think, because there is no gap. The parampara comes from Baladev. It comes down through all of the acharyas. And if there's no gap in philosophy, there's no gap in acharyas.
Okay, we have some more comments. So this same guy, Calm Islam Lee, said, why did he not appoint a successor like every other guru before him? Perhaps because he realized last minute that none of his so-called esteemed disciples were qualified. The sincere devotees went to India. The rest stayed here and engaged in polemics and incendiary attacks against rivals, such as what goes on in this channel. Brother, you sound like a robot, respectfully. He's talking to you, Narayan. Did you read that off a
I am a robot.
Did you read
Sound
that
like
off?
a robot? That's wrong. I am a robot. I don't just sound like one. I'm robotic. from the core.
Did you read that off a teleprompter or something?
Which? Read one
Oh,
of it.
oh no, he says no, I was referring to the Indian brother. He's talking about Vinayak, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, I
he's
might be
a
talking
robot?
about
He's
me.
not a robot. He's a sincere devotee. But the thing to get into understand is you don't have to have a physical representative coming after. The acharya doesn't appoint another acharya. The acharya is self-manifested. So if somebody's supposed to be an acharya after Prabhupada, they'll show up on their own. Aside from that, there's no need at this point for anyone after Prabhupada, because we have Prabhupada's chanting on recordings, we have Prabhupada's form, we have Prabhupada's books, and if we take the trouble, we have the opportunity for Sankirtan, for chanting in the streets. And that doesn't require an acharya, it just requires people willing to go out in the streets and chant the Hare Krishna mantra using Prabhupada's melodies, dancing his dance steps, which all can be gotten off the internet. So
Okay.
where's the difficulty?
Okay, he says, Narayan, I don't even know why you would bring Buddha into the equation as an analogy. Buddha rejected Vedas. Tell us how parampara works in Vedic Dharma.
Lord Buddha is one of the Das avatars, and he's considered an incarnation of Krishna. He came to fool people through atheism, but it doesn't mean he was an atheist. He was an incarnation of Krishna, fully recognized in the Shastra. So we cannot say anything against Lord Buddha. And when I mentioned Lord Buddha, I said his form is still there. You can go to Chinatown and buy a murti of Lord Buddha. You can find a murti of Lord Buddha, and he's still there. You can worship him. He's still there. So why can't you worship Prabhupada in the same way? I'm asking. Hello?
Yeah, he hasn't responded.
Who hasn't responded?
This person, Calm Islam Lee.
Okay. The thing is that there's two ways of looking at life, from the spiritual point of view and from the material point of view. Whoever has a material body clings to their body and wishes and wants to have a material outcome for his life. So when he takes up Krishna consciousness, when he takes up Buddhism, when he takes up Christianity or Islam, he wants that to satisfy his material needs in his material body. That's what he wants. The other outlook is transcendental, and that is the nature of the Acharya. He teaches about Krishna by his example, meaning not just that he does things with his fingers or hands that you have to learn to copy. No, he teaches from his inner core of being a resident of Krishna Loka. That counts.
Okay, he says, again, playing the whataboutism game and invoking Buddha
Can you
does not
call Shukudala? I'm
does
sorry, say
nothing
that
to
again.
bolster. Okay. Again, playing the whataboutism game and invoking Buddha does nothing to bolster your argument. Buddhist philosophy is the stark opposite of Vaishnava philosophy. We don't
Then
have
ask him
to
a question. Go ahead.
we don't have to
sorry.
slander Buddha to acknowledge that fact.
So then, does he accept that Buddha is an incarnation of Krishna?
We just came upstairs, and so we had
Shaktavesh avatar.
the chicken thing.
He's one of the 10 avatars. Also, Kalki is there, and Parsuram is there. There are so many incarnations. And what are they for? Why do they come? They come to improve. Lord Buddha came to stop animal slaughter in the name of Vedic sacrifice. He completed his task. Then Lord Shiva came in the form of Shankaracharya in Benares. And then after that, Lord Chaitanya came and defeated all the Banarsi Mayavadis. This is all part. They're all of them are either Krishna or incarnations of Krishna. So when Lord Chaitanya defeated the Mayavadis in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Prakasananda Saraswati, when he defeated them, that completed everything and opened the door to bhakti, which means chanting the holy name of Krishna. Why does he think it's all about gurus? Why doesn't he think it's all about chanting?
Okay, he says, you are making the bold claim that Parampara ends with Prabhupada. This does not agree with Vedic Dharma and the guru-disciple dynamic, which never ends and is everlasting.
No, the Parampara ends with, oh my God, it's at the end of the Kalki. The Guru Parampara ends with Kalki 10,000 years from now. Not 10,000 years from now. It was 437,000 years from now. But there will be no more sampradaya after 10,000 years until the end of the age of Kali. That is finished. Does he have any evidence that the parampara will continue after 10,000 years?
He says, next you will say that Prabhupada died for our sins. Absurd.
No, he lived for our sins.
Saurav Sahu says, please discuss about Lord Kalki one day, because here is a person in India misguiding everyone that Lord Kalki is already born. He will reveal after Prime Minister Modi Gobe. I don't know what that word means, G-O-B-E.
Probably means goes from office or something. Well, anyhow, the Kalki will come on a horse and behead everybody. Does this person think that after Modi that everyone's going to be beheaded? And that means everybody. You go into a Hindu village, he'll behead them. He'll behead everybody that's alive after the 327,000 more years of the golden age of the age of Kali. After the golden age of Kali is completed, 10,000 years from now, after that, no more sampradaya, no more avatars, no more gurus, just horrible activities generated by horrible jivas in horrible bodies with horrible minds. That's what will happen after 10,000 years. So then after the end of the age of Kali, everyone will be cannibals. Now, that's stated in Shastra. People will be cannibals. They'll be horribly perverted. They'll raise their children only to eat them. And then Kalki comes and kills them all off. And when they're all killed off at the end of Kali Yuga, then Satya Yuga will begin. There's this person that thinks Kalki is on the way, anticipating that Satya Yuga is going to begin shortly after the presidency of Narendra Modi. You know what I mean?
Okay, this same person, Saurav Sahu, says he is saying ISKCON philosophy of Kali Yuga 432,000 years time span is wrong, that Kalki is already born and that Kali Yuga will end in 2028.
That the Kali Yuga will end in 2028?
Yeah.
So Kali Yuga is only maybe 2028. So then he's thinking that Kali Yuga is opposed to the other yugas that are many kalpas in time. He's saying that Kali Yuga is only a few thousand years Maybe 10,000,
Yes.
5,000, 10,000 years?
Yes.
Why? Why would all the other yugas be enormously long, including Dwarpa Yuga, the yuga just before this one, and then suddenly this yuga is only maybe 5.5 or 6,000 years? Why? I mean, does he have any reasoning behind it?
He says that this person in India is misguiding everyone, that Lord Kalki is already born. And that
Well, why are we
ISKCON
entertaining being misguided by this person? I mean, are we interested in what misguiding people say?
Hare Krishna Lakshmi.
Lakshmi?
Yeah, she said Hare Krishna in the chat.
No, John.
Haribol, Hare Krishna. Jai.
Okay,
So
so Saurav Sahu says that person is not following ISKCON or any parampara. He is fooling mass people. He makes videos in Hindi. So this is the guy that's saying that ISKCON's time frame for Kali Yuga is wrong.
and Saurabh Swami says that. Well, Saurabh Swami is very senior sannyasi. He's a very senior sannyasi. So Saurabhi, if he says that, then I think we can be very sure of it. But we already knew it anyhow. You know, why do we have to be sure of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's next? You guys, listen to spiritual intelligence. That's what the group of Andrea, and she's very spiritually intelligent. So we have to completely rethink everything now. She's no longer a crazy situation. You know, and we're in a time where we need all the help we can get. Yeah. Hello, what's up?
That's it for the comments.
Okay. So are there any other topics that people want to bring up? I usually have stuff that I write. I haven't recently. My son is visiting from New Zealand and various other activities are going on. But in a couple of weeks, we'll get back to it. And I'll write papers and we can discuss them. And if anyone disagrees, I welcome their disagreement. Anyone who disagrees with me and can convince me that they're right, I will offer my head will go down on their feet. Even if they're not lotus feet, if they're right and I'm mistaken, I will put my head on their feet. Even if their feet are even a little bit smelly, I'll do it.
Okay, we have a comment. He is saying Kalki is already born in Shambhala, a village predicted in Bhavishya Puran. And is it also true that Jagannath Mandir will immerse in the ocean at the end of Kali Yuga, and Kalki will come to Nilachala Puri to destroy the Jagannath Mandir?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've never heard anything about it. But as far as the Jagannath Mandir being destroyed by Kalki, I consider it highly unlikely. I don't know what the ultimate destiny of the Jagannath deities is. But Kalki comes at the end of the Kali Yuga. That's 437,000 years from now, I think, something like that. So anyhow, yeah, I think it is, because 437,000 years from now, yes, it is. We're only 5,000 years into Kali Yuga. So when Kalki comes, Jagannath will not have been there, or Jagannath will not be here after 10,000 years from now, not 437,000 years from now. He won't. After this golden age of Kali, which we're in right now, and we're chanting and trying very hard to take advantage of Prabhupada, who came here to deliver us, whether we want to be delivered or not, apparently, that will be 417,000 years after the end of the golden age of Kali. We don't have to worry about Lord Jagannath. He won't be there. Nothing will be there. No temples will be there. No spiritual life will be there. It's the end of spiritual life. And then 417,000 years will go on of pure, unmixed, cannibalistic hell.
Saurav Sahu says, and there is
Who?
Saurav Sahu says, and there is some Bengali YouTuber saying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was murdered by the Pandas of Puri. This is a story we Bengalis listening still since childhood.
Well, that's a very clever idea, but he wasn't. He came in and he was in a state of rapture for a considerable period of time, practically incoherent gibberish. His rapture was so intense. And then he came and he merged, swooped up and merged into the body of Lord Jagannath. He wasn't murdered. How did he murder God? I mean, gee. I mean, where's the brains going on here? Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna. How do you murder Radha and Krishna? You know what I mean?
Okay, Calm Islamly said, deliver us, more Christians speak. Mahaprabhu was a Mayavadi sannyasi. How could he be murdered by Pandits?
He wasn't. How could he be murdered by Pandits if he was a Mayavadi sannyasi? Well, the question is, how could he be murdered by Pandits if he wasn't a Mayavadi sannyasi? Lord Chaitanya is God, Radha and Krishna combined. Why miss out on the greatest gift that Krishna has ever presented to anyone on earth, which is that he comes as Radha and Krishna, eliminating all other religions on earth just by his presence. Why? Because by his presence, he is giving pure unalloyed love of God directly. You don't need to go to church. You don't need a Christian church or Catholic church. You don't need to go to a mosque. You don't need to go to a synagogue. You don't need to go to a Buddhist temple. You don't need to go to any religious center. Look, God himself has come here and stood on the earth, and you're talking about how to kill him? That is naivete on steroids. So go ahead.
You say he is God, but you seem to elevate Prabhupada above him. Not even Mahaprabhu could be guru for all, even while his body is not here. Yet you say Prabhupada can. This does not compute.
Oh, Lord Chaitanya's presence exists in the form of the Hare Krishna mantra, the holy name of Krishna. What is the Hare Krishna mantra? The Hare Krishna mantra is Radha and Krishna combined. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's a combination of Radha and Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna. He's there in the holy name. It's not a question of, this guy is so materialistic. How he's moving God around as though he's a figure on a chessboard. What are you doing? Let me ask this guy, what are you doing to yourself? Are you moving yourself around like a figure on a chessboard? Who do you think you are? You're in a body, right? You're
I'm in a body and God is in a body too. He's probably thinking, my body and God's body is the same thing.
Well, it would be the same thing if your God body is made of Satchidananda Vigraha. If it's pure, unalloyed spiritual body, then it would be the same. But your body is not. Your body is made of, shall we say, pus, blood, stool, and urine. No? Can you argue with that? That your body
No,
is
no,
made
no.
out of something
All
sweeter than that?
all at once. Whatever you said, it's not. You know.
Well, I don't understand. What do you say?
I'm saying whatever you said, it's all combined in one. This
What is all
body,
combined in one?
pus, blood, urine, stool, all in one.
Well, then you're ready to flush down the toilet. Pus, blood, stool, and urine. Then the next thing is
Flush down the toilet.
get out the toilet paper, or if you're in India, get out the lota, and that's the end of it.
Okay. Saurav Sahu says they are saying in the age of science we don't believe a person can merge to deity, but these rascals don't know he was Krishna himself. I came in light after reading Prabhupada's book.
Is this the good guy or the bad guy?
Ribo.
Chai.
This
That's
is-
Prabhupada's mercy.
This
That's
is
the
the good
energy
guy
of
or the
Prabhupada's
bad
book.
guy? I thought that's
This
well,
is
he's the
Saurav.
good guy.
Yeah,
Huh?
Saurav Sahu. This is Saurav
So,
Sahu.
could you read what he said again?
He said, they are saying in the age of science, we don't believe a person can merge to deity, but these rascals don't know he was Krishna himself. I came in light after reading Prabhupada's book.
Yeah. So the whole thing is Krishna in Krishna Loka. He lives in the kingdom of God. He is the source of the kingdom of God. He and Radha predominate, and everyone else worships him in oceanic waves of love. They do. And when someone like Prabhupada comes here, he is coming as a representative of one of Krishna's forms, and he comes down as a Shaktavesh avatar. He comes down as an acharya, so that he is actually, whatever he says is being spoken by Krishna. Now, nobody on earth, this skeptical guy or anybody else, nobody can talk in behalf of Krishna. No, he has so many skeptical views, but can he talk in behalf of Krishna? No, but Prabhupada could. So what's the big
Okay.
difficulty?
The skeptical guy says, kingdom of God, more Christian speak, LOL.
No, are you saying that God is not king? Are we saying Krishna is not king or Lord? I mean, you say Lord or king. You could say that to the English, king or the Lord. You can say either one. So are you saying that Krishna is not Lord? In fact, they call him Lord Krishna, right? Where's the
Okay.
difficulty?
Saurav Sahu says, and is in Shastra that like Mahaprabhu, Nityananda and Advaita Acharya also disappeared like this. Their bodies also not found because also Vishnu Tattvas.
Yeah.
Then Calm Islamli says, king is an earthly title.
How about Lord? We use earthly titles because we have no way of addressing God spiritually, being people in the material world. We are very stuck here. We are using the tools that we have in our hand, Lord or King or something of that sort. We can say, but we can only refer to Krishna. We cannot bring Krishna in front of us on the table based on saying Lord or King. All we can do is pray or worship Krishna. Radha, if you worship Radha and Krishna, you'll find that every desire you could possibly have for yourself is contained within Radha and Krishna. And why is that so? Because you're part and parcel of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, you're inside of Radha and Krishna. And if whatever you want to love, if you want to experience the love of Radha and Krishna, of loving each other, rather than trying to run around the world finding someone to love.
Okay, Calm Islamly says, you said king. Are you changing it to Lord now? Metal and steel are the same to a layman, but the wise know the difference.
Okay, well, the wise knows that king or lord, in our words, in our nomenclatures on planet Earth, are basically the same thing. So when we say Lord Krishna, we can say Lord Krishna, can we not? When he was in Dwarka, we could say he was a king. He had king, he had so many queens. So kings and queens existed with Krishna. At least that's what people call them. So where's the complaint? Why? Splitting hairs. Why?
Okay, Saurav Sahu says, I have a personal inquiry about Ramakrishna Dev because
Can you speak louder?
Saurav Sahu says, I have a personal inquiry about Ramakrishna Dev because here in my friend circle, there are so many his followers exist. They saying he is Mahaprabhu.
Ramakrishna?
Yeah.
Is this our Swami, my godbrother?
I don't think so.
No, the Ramakrishna, Bengali Ramakrishna. You should read Prabhupada's
but-
books. He talks about this in detail about
Ramakrishna,
of who he is.
well, Ramakrishna's last desire was that he be born as a Baul of Bengal and smoke ganja and opium. No, Ramakrishna, there's no basis whatsoever. He actually, the reason Thakur Bhaktivinoda appeared was to defeat the bogusness of Ramakrishna and others of his type. These Bengalis who claim to follow after Lord Chaitanya, which they don't.
So yes, so we have about a few minutes. So I'd like to change the topic a little bit here. This is very
Go for it.
interesting. Rameshwara replied to this message. So Rupa, can you read this, Prabhu? Since you're the best reader here.
Who applied? Who replied?
Rameshwara replied to this message that was posted on Facebook.
Rameshwar, the former guru, Rameshwar?
Yes.
Really? He's
Yes,
on
so-
board. Well, my obeisance is to Rameshwar.
Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
Rupa, can you read, please, if you can?
Sure. July 20th, 1980. On this date in history, 42 years ago, Rameshwar Swami Robert Grant, the director of the Los Angeles-based Bhaktivedanta Book Trust and the area Acharya of Los Angeles, San Diego, Laguna Beach, and Denver, resigned his worship to the Guru. I had just taken an important decision, Rameshwar explained, about the whole situation regarding Prabhupada's position and the false platform of our new gurus. It definitely does not involve Vyasasans chanting the names of the new gurus at Prabhupada's temple, etc. I'm going to be completely honest in this regard. Rameshwar tasked Shubhananda Das to write a paper for him titled About the Position of Initiative Guru for Western Zone, which Rameshwar submitted to the GBC. They even took her Vyasasan from the Los Angeles temple. If Guru Madhyam presents himself as an Uttama Guru or allows to be presented or worshipped, then he is simply cheating his disciples, explained Rameshwar Swami. He is putting
Jai. All
on a
glory
false,
to Rameshwar.
he is putting on a false and artificial spectacle and is therefore inspiring cheap and superficial faith and devotion. Instead of true and appropriate glorification, such cheap worship is actually an insult. However, after Rameshwar submitted his work before the GBC, the other zonal acharyas voted against Rameshwar. He was not allowed to reduce his worship in the temple, and his Vyasasan was reinstated. Despite his troubled conscience, Rameshwar conceded to his demands and continued with the farce. Why was Rameshwar forced to pretend to be an acharya again? The 11 had lied and cheated to earn their false positions as the so-called Uttama Adhikari Diksha Gurus. Hence, they could not allow a single member to follow their conscience, protest the sham, and abandon the sham. Using the May 28th conversation and the subsequent July 9th letter, naming Ritviks as authorization to validate their self-designation as Uttama Adhikari Diksha Guru, it was imperative that the 11 move on, explained Eric Johans. If one or more of them, the zonal acharyas, decided to act consciously or be more deliberate about what Srila Prabhupada's real instructions were, it would break unity and ruin the whole snow work. It would allow the common devotees to be receptive to the doubts expressed by senior devotees, skeptics, about the 11 most advanced devotees in the movement. 11 Naked Emperors, Chapter 10, Exposed by a Woman, pages 211 to 212.
Okay, so this was about July 20th, 1990. So today, this is Rameshwara Prabhu. Rameshwara Prabhu replied 4 hours ago. So check out his reply. Rupa, can you read the reply? It's short. Here.
It says, Hare Krishna, please accept my
By the
humble
way, he's going by Robert Grant, not by Rameshwar.
Yes.
glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm so sorry that I didn't have the spiritual strength to prevail or to withstand the vote of being excommunicated. I believe those 3 papers, quoting Shastra, quoting Srila Prabhupada's books, properly explained how a Madhyamadikari devotee could give Diksha and not be viewed as an Uttama Adhikari Guru. Those papers are as valid now as they were back then. I'm so sorry to the devotees I let down and offended, and pray for the wisdom to now make it up to all the devotees I in my many coming births by always your aspiring lowly servant Rameshwar.
This is very interesting, huh?
Then, if I could ask real quick, did Rameshwar submit this to our forum or did somebody else?
No, Rameshwar basically replied because he was tagged in a post.
On our forum?
No, not on our forum, on Facebook to someone else's page. So this comment came up.
I see.
So this
I was
comment came
thinking that
up on my
Rameshwar
feed, so
came
I'm
to
sharing
our
it here.
Zoom call. He didn't come to our Zoom call.
No. Okay.
Anyhow, all
so-
glories to Rameshwar Maharaj for having.
and then there's a
confessed to
devotee that replied, Penny Parker, Robert Grant. Problem is, they were hardly on the Madhyam level. That's quite high for converts to have achieved so young in their bhakti. But I know many today who are also initiate believers themselves on the upper Madhyam level today, and their disciples sworn over them instead of being simple, respectful, and grateful students. So Rameshwar basically is saying here that the Madhyam Adhikaris can initiate, but Prabhupada is directly saying in the Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, that even the Kanishta can initiate and the Madhyam can initiate, but they cannot advance toward the ultimate goal of life under their insufficient guidance. And further, Prabhupada says that the Kanishta and Madhyam should initiate people on the same level. They cannot initiate as Uttama Adhikaris. Then Prabhupada says at the end that initiation should be accepted from a Uttama Adhikari. So it's very
So are these
elusive
people
what they're
arguing about
saying.
Prabhupada and is he dead? Is he alive? How can you make him into an icon that will survive for 10,000 years? Just find somebody who's an Uttamadhikari to take his place. But so far, and I predict no time, will people be able to do that. The best thing is for people to surrender to Prabhupada, not to try to become Prabhupada.
Jai.
And if they had surrendered to Prabhupada, we wouldn't be facing this ugly, hideous mess of a situation with what is kind of descended into being. If they had surrendered, then they would be still surrendered. They would be worshiping Prabhupada and
Right.
not trying to be worshipped by themselves.
Yeah, Rameshwar Prabhu is a very controversial fellow. So, whatever he says, should be taken with a grain of salt. And then you should do your own, research and
Well, you mean,
Istagoshti and discuss.
what part do you say is wrong about what he said?
You're saying the Madhyamadikaris can initiate, and we have seen that
Oh,
none of
well,
them are
sure, anybody can,
Madhyamadikaris. Yeah.
anybody can initiate. The Kanist can initiate. Then some guy that drags himself in off the street can initiate.
Right, right.
10 minutes after he shaves his head. I mean, hey, I mean, you know what I mean?
Let everyone initiate.
Yeah, but
Pandemonium.
well, Rameshwar is stuck on that, and he couldn't. I don't know what he thinks now, but he's more or less become a functional part of the dysfunctional ISKCON.
Functional part of the dysfunctional ISKCON. No,
Okay,
this
it's
is not
10 o'clock.
Prabhupada. I said it is not Prabhupada ISKCON, the dysfunctional ISKCON. It's
Okay, it's
some.
10
Yeah,
o'clock.
you're kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, ISKCON is just a word by now, for that. That's why Bobby Hebert is against ISKCON. I'm not against ISKCON. ISKCON is 6 letters that came from Krishna Loka, ISKCON, and I have no problem with it continuing, even if it's loaded with all sorts of loaded people. So if it's loaded with the loaded, then all we have to do is
We'll unload it.
gradually unload the loaded and let them go off and get jobs as auto mechanics or something.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock, so we'll end it here. And Rupa
10:01.
Manjari, thanks for hosting Rupa Manjari Prabhu, Narayan Prabhu. Vinayak was
Thank you,
here. Vinayak is
Ramachandra
here.
Prabhu.
Mohit Prabhu, and there's Maitreya Prabhu, and our online
Right.
viewers. Big thank you to you. And our next meeting will be on Sunday. So please join the WhatsApp group if you like to get notifications, get in contact with the devotees, ask questions, share realizations, anything else.
Right.
Please send
And
us a
I
message.
offer my obeisances to the guys with weird ideas and weird comments, because with us people, how could we make spiritual advancement? And how could we correct errors if somebody didn't come in with weird stuff that we couldn't even imagine in the first place?
Okay, thank you very much. We'll end it here.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Jai Prabhupada.
Jai.
Jai.
Jai. Wonderful devotees.
All glory to Prabhupada.